yet again I'm reminded that Bella's more alive than ever. And now, while she may have been fun of and maybe didn't fit in then, boy, do you fit in now. I'm the baby of my family, and as the baby of my family, I tend to plan my life many years in advance. And so I knew for certain, growing up, the year that I would get married, and I did. And I knew for certain the year that I would have children, and I did. In 2002, precisely when I thought I had planned it, we were overjoyed with the fact that we were going to be welcoming our first child to the world, which we decided to name Bella.
At a birthday party.
And her delivery was complicated. And my wife was in labor for more than 13 hours. And because of that, when Bella was born, we didn't know it at the time, she looked rather purple at the moment that she was born. And what ended up happening is that she had low oxygen to her brain during that period of time, which later would reveal itself. My wife, Shauna, took Bella to a mommy and me class. And at the time, and at that age, all of the other babies were starting to roll over or trying to roll over, trying to get up and crawl, but Bella wouldn't move. In fact, she would lay flat on her back, and the back of her head actually had become flat. And so because of that, Bella was evaluated, and she was found initially to have global developmental delays. And Bella's life was very challenging in the beginning. And it wasn't until she finally had an MRI of her brain just before she turned 4 that we actually found the strokes that had happened in the white matter of her brain at the time of her being born. In July of 2007, I was traveling like I did frequently for work. And I called home like I always did first thing in the morning to see how the night had been. I heard a terror in my wife's voice, unlike I had ever heard in my life. That Bella kept getting up from the bed and walking over to this little Cinderella princess table that we had in the kitchen. But now she kept falling throughout the night, and by morning she was completely paralyzed.
I had a very close attachment to this family, so it made it twice as difficult. No matter what, you are delivering terrible news. Unfortunately, the people have stigmatized the word cancer.
All the stuff that we said, all the stuff that we told, all the stuff that we did.
We immediately had to go see the neurosurgeon that they were going to rush her into surgery. And we did. And he pulled up the MRI of her spine, and the tumor had enveloped the spine. It had gone in between the discs and had invaded and paralyzed her completely. And he explained to us that he was going to go in through her back and be able to get a piece of the tumor. And I asked him, "Doctor, will she ever walk again?" And he said, "As careful as I'm going to be, I'm going to nick that spinal cord even more so. She will never walk again." And she's been diagnosed with stage 4 alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma. And that night, being there with my little girl who had now become paralyzed, 2 children died right before me. And that was the first time that I looked up and I said, "God, why me?"
Bella taught me many things. Number 1, don't feel sad for me. I can handle this. I never, underestimate the power that a child has to fight a disease as terrible as Bella has.
Because when you're in a situation such as this, people with the best of intentions come to the hospital and say, "What can we do? Anything. What do you need?" We looked at them and said, "Listen, we don't need any more Cinderella coloring books. We don't need any more Play-Doh. We don't need food. We don't need money. We need a miracle.
How cute!
Reina and Bella were both at the JCC. I was Jewish, and Bella had gone to Temple Beth Am for nursery school, and then they were both at the Jewish Community Center when Bella got sick. You know, Bella was born with developmental delays, so she couldn't talk. She was 4 years old, but she could really only say 3 words at a time, like, I'm hungry or I want milk. So in the beginning, you know, Bella would sleep with us because she couldn't walk, and, you know, she would wake up in the middle of the night and speak in complete sentences, which, again, she didn't really know how to talk. That belongs to mommy church, or, you know, Jesus is gonna make me better.
And so Shauna got up and turned on the lamp by the bedside and said, Bella, who told you that? And without hesitation, Bella pointed to a picture of the Virgin Mary that somebody had given us in the hospital. Shauna brought it over to her, and she said, Bella, she told you that? And she said, yes. Well, the next morning, we weren't sure of what we had witnessed or what we had experienced, but we knew we weren't going to tell anybody. But that morning, Bella kept insisting that someone named Mommy Church was visiting her, that Mommy Church was going to help her walk again. And so I printed from the internet Our Lady of Charity. I printed Our Lady of Fatima, Our Lady of Lourdes, Our Lady of Guadalupe. And at the very instant that we showed Bella Our Lady of Guadalupe, without hesitation, that was Mommy Church. We're not crazy people. We're experiencing things that are absolutely indescribable. I have an obligation to tell somebody from the church, whether they believe me or not, what's going on. And so that evening, I approached Monsignor Pablo Navarro for the very first time.
And Raymond was at his wit's end, well, what is this Mommy Church? You know, so it took him a while to sort of come to grips with the fact that, gee, maybe she's saying something about the Blessed Mother, the Virgin Mary. Faith yields trust when trust makes no sense.
Bella was scheduled according to the protocol she was on to have another PET scan.
She had about 7 tumors when we found her cancer. And the doctors didn't even want to do the scans because they were like, it's way too soon for the chemo to be working. She has so much cancer. So again, I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm praying at night. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning because I would just pray all night. Couldn't sleep. And she woke up and she's like, Mommy, when they take the pictures, the boo-boos are all gone. And I was like, first of all, she's 4. I don't know how she knew we even had scans.
My father and I put Bella into the machine. She was put under anesthesia. As I was praying the Holy Rosary in silence, I felt this incredible pressure on my neck and on my shoulders. And I heard a voice say, they're gonna look and they're not gonna find it. They're gonna look and they're not gonna find it. And I knew that I hadn't lost my mind because of everything that was going on at our house. And so I responded. And I said, Blessed Mother, if this is so, I'm gonna go to Mexico next week and I'm gonna thank you in person.
So we did the scans 2 days later, all her tumors were gone. So that was a miracle. The doctors couldn't believe it. Nobody knew how that had happened.
And that's when I told Shauna, honey, next week, I have to go to Mexico City. She looked at me like, what are you, insane? You're going to Mexico? And I said, I am. I made a promise and I'm keeping it. So I got to Mexico City, and I'm still doubting my own sanity in this process. How could I have my daughter paralyzed at home under cancer treatment and I'm going to Mexico? When I got to Mexico City, I got in a cab and the driver says to me, how many days are you here in Mexico? I said, no, I'm only here for a few hours. And he said to me, listen, you don't have a lot of time. You've got to get back to the airport 2 hours before an international flight. And so he was nervous for me. And when I got to the Basilica of Guadalupe, then I entered the steps to the courtyard. At the very moment that I arrived, my BlackBerry rang, my cell phone. And at that very instant, Shauna was calling me from Miami, screaming for joy.
You're not gonna believe this, Bella just started crawling.